We're live, we're rolling. Do I sound slightly manic? Yes, that's because the Wi-Fi is asleep. But screw the Wi-Fi, we're rolling. Hi everyone, and welcome to another Toonkind D&D Read Aloud, a matter of courtesy. I am Vwild, and I am joined by... I get to do this all over again! This wonderful, fantastic, incredible artist, wonderful DM, truly excellent person to play with, my bestie! Introduce yourself!
Hello everyone! My name is Whis. Absolutely not to be outdone, are you?
Nope, I'm incorrigible.
Yep, but that's why we love you. Oh dear. So, we're going back in time today for a little bit of fun.
Yep. It's gonna be an interesting time for certain. It's not as far back as we sometimes go. This one is around after everything went boom, all the chaos therein, and Haddy going, hey, I'm moving in with you now, picnic.
Specifically, if you want game titles, we're looking at The Way Things Go, and there's also the Heart of the Home FPS.
Yes, thank you, Whis. Mighty and powerful. And it's all an interesting time, but the main thing is they've decided. Haddy's decided to move in with Lynn and Rye. Lynn and Rye have decided Toontown is a place we can no longer thrive. We're going to Halloween Town. And we're taking our house with us.
Yes.
Which...
before the house wizard became a cat. Spoilers, I guess. He's been a cat for a few months.
Yeah. We're working on it. We're working on it. But they've all got this plan. And it's a good plan. It's a solid plan. It's somewhere where they're going to be safe. Telling that to the other stage hands and seeing how they react to them moving. Bit interesting. Valestown Bod's fine. Very far away from all of this. Chill. Reggie is Reggie. He'll be able to visit when he delivers the post, so Reggie's fine. Little Mal's going to take some convincing, but hey, that's Little Mal. Old Tort, they're going to have to be sneaky bastards so he doesn't blockade the doors. He has empty nest syndrome, it shows.
Before the nest is even empty most of the time.
Yep. Listen, you can't leave if there's chili and hugs and love. Why would you want to leave?
Well, that's what we're addressing today.
And so we're going to dive into this two-scene, two-part. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, we zoomed in on all of this with old Tort and Haddy, because, yeah, Haddy, you're not really being at the hub around this time, are you?
No, after The Way Things Go and Network's SOS went out, he and Old Tort and Little Mal sprinted through Toontown to Network, and eventually the two older stagehands did go back to the hub, but Haddy stayed behind, determined to wait until Lynn came back. And she, at this point in time, is still recovering from that whole ordeal in Halloween Town, and he's keeping Network company. And he's been getting pestered by Old Tort. They've been butting heads over the appropriate treatment methods.
Indeed. Especially the fact that Old Tort, bless his heart, still doesn't get Network. He's dumb. I love him. He means well. He doesn't understand. There would definitely been a few visits and phone calls and asking me how everything was and when Haddy was going to come home. And would he be bringing Pom Pom and Sneakstail with him? I mean, it'd be far safer if they all just bundled back to the hub after all.
Uncle, I told you, Pom-Pom's not at full strength. They need the support, and Network still needs the company. You can't rush this.
Picnic can visit her network plenty. And often if she's at the hub instead of gallivanting in a spooky town. And we have a picked on a chili and folks to help her here. Got some healers and such. You'll all be fine.
She has a magic key to get between Network and Halloween Town without having to walk anywhere near the place where things went down. I really don't think she'll like that any better.
Oh, magic key. That sounds Perkins-off. How do we know this magic isn't gonna fucking disrupt any healing? We could work something out. And what about her boy? A little sneakster. He needs stagehand comfort with everything that's happening. That side of Toontown, well, with whatever the pick happened on his birthday, and now this. Getting Ollie safe here. She might not like it at first, but it sounds the best for all three of you.
Uncle, you can't just lock her and the kid up. It's not... He's seriously reconsidering telling old Tort that he's not coming back. You and her butt heads enough as it was when she was sick. Do you really want to be spending your waking hours arguing with her?
And there is a string of muttered curses in multiple languages as he moves his hat to scrub his hand down his face. It's not locking up, just battening down the hatches, and he seems to struggle for words for a moment, and it is recalling everything that happened in the past. We just have to put up some precautions in place with them windows, but I don't want the arguing. It's true. But I also don't want her out there in the wide world getting hurt again. Stagehands are safest in the hub.
Haddy sighs a bit. How is he supposed to tell old Tort that living out of the hub is what let Pom-Pom grow so much? Get her kid. And how is he supposed to tell him that he liked the open air too?
And with some very careful insight into the old tortoise, Haddy knows that old Tort is very intimidated by all this change. And quite frankly, does not like that his kids are off in all these strange places and getting hurt or distressed. He knows there are large gaps in some generations of stagehands, and not everyone has always made it home from rough days. Plus, with everything that happened when Pom-Pom first got hurt, old Tort may be insistent on having everyone back within the hub. But that's because he knows at the end of the day, when everyone is within the hub, no one ever got severely hurt. It's the safest place he knows. The only place he can guarantee nothing bad will happen. Just refuses to see other sides. This would mean that he couldn't keep them all safe.
Haddy puts a hand on old Tort's arm. I know you're worried. I know you're worried and scared for Pom-Pom and Sneakster, but they'd be miserable, Uncle.
And old Tort leans into the touch, and face very solemn, and from what Haddy can tell, clearly showing his age fully for a moment. But why? You can give them both support. A safe place away from the violence and the chaos. We have everything they need to be happy at the hub. Why can't I just... Why isn't it enough? What can I do to make the hub good for them? Make them stay where it's safe.
Haddy drops his cane to the floor to hug the old tortoise with both arms. It's no failing of yours, Uncle, I promise.
And he is immediately getting hugged back tightly. Not as tight as old Tort usually does. This feels more like him just trying to keep a semblance of everything together. Comforting for both of them. But certainly old Tort drawing on this moment. I can't lose any more of you. Just not again.
Haddy buzzes his wings at a familiar frequency, hoping to get little Mal's attention for some backup. You won't. You won't. The motherfucker that hurt Pom Pom is dead. They killed it. It won't be coming back for a round 3. He gives old Tort a squeeze. This isn't like Uncle Peter. This can't be managed like that.
Elsewhere, Auntie Mal, she knows that frequency, and she's off at a decent clip to find where all of this is, where Haddy is to assist. But meanwhile, there's old Talk gives a low grumble buried in the hug at that. Just no, little Peter, Thumper is different, isn't he, on that front? But fuck. Pom Pom trusts some strangers in a spook town more than us, and there's so much out there beyond our walls. We can manage for her, help her manage stuff. I know it. I know we can help her. And it's that stubbornness Haddy has heard so many times before. But it does seem to be weakening. He's scrambling for answers of how the hub can work, but Haddy's words are slowly starting to sink in.
They ain't strangers. They're her connections. They know magic and healing, and it's not that they don't trust you, Uncle. He rubs old Tort's shell with his nub hands. She trusts and loves you dearly. Nothing will change that. Nothing.
Oh, that hits. That last point is a point that he hadn't quite wanted to say aloud. He was worried about. Trust and love and worrying he wasn't enough for her, but for any of them. But Haddy has cracked it wide open and started putting it to bed. There is a low noise from him. Perhaps taking comfort in the feeling against his chest, or against his shell, or maybe a noise to cover the way his eyes suddenly feel like they are burning and prickling slightly with unshed tears. But his resolve is slowly caving faster. Do you think she'll stop by again eventually? I know that both Picnic and Sneakster like Halloween Town, but what if they don't want to come by the hub anymore?
I don't know. Not for a while. He hadn't been completely debriefed, but he knew his cousin. He also knew the fact that they were going to move the whole gosh darn house out of there and probably needed to come from Pom Pom. But there's nothing saying you can't go out there yourself and see him. Give the old bones in charge a good talking to about looking after your kid.
There is a good long moment as old Tort processes all of this. Seems to even nod along slightly at last. Yeah, I'll take the good shovel. Shovel talk of family. I've got to make sure the folks are good enough for our Pom Pom and Sneakster, even if they're emitting a corn maze there. And there is a distant faint shuffle of Auntie Mal poking her head in quietly, taking in the situation unseen.
Haddy gives him a squeeze. You found her, but she found them. They're no stagehand, but family is family. Yours and mine too.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this will mark the tallest tune of our family. Okay. Okay. As long as they treat our family right, we take care of our own. And they are part of ours now as well. Thank you, Buzzbrain.
Haddy smiles at that. He's never managed to convince old Tort so well. He's rather proud of himself. Maybe you can ask for a key of your own. Then we can go out there without having to catch the train.
Oh, magic keys and trains, eh? Oh, you were thinking of going fancy. I was going to commission a horse and cart. You can still find them knocking around. Those work well. Good, reliable taxis. Well, Tort, dear heart, we are taking a pecking train when we get out of here, this town, so help me. And there is a smothered foghorn yell. No! What the bloody fuck did you?
Haddy snorts. You're not the only sneaky picnic in the family, you old fart.
Oh, you little... And yeah, you are getting squeezed. You're in a hug. He's been given the good squeeze to try and get a squeak. And then a noogie. This old fart can still turn you into a good bagpipe if you want.
Haddy does squeak, wings buzzing a little faster. Yeah, no one does it better.
And there is that second form weaving in soon after. Soft fur of Auntie Mal very gently bapping old Tort in the face to make him let go a little. Oh, now, let the boy peck and breathe. But consider dragonfly bagpipes.
Keep squeezing like that and the crowd could be out a big tea out of me.
And that gets a laugh out of both of them. But old Tort does release him. Stage handy. Not yet, thank you, Peking kindly. I'd much prefer some help by the all hands in making the chili than be drinking the dead.
Haddy gives old Tort a pat as he steps back. You know I can't cook.
Aye, but you got a decent nose and good taste buds. Or would you rather I pack a few tubs up for you to take with you as you head back to the network?
Ah, that'd be good actually. Everyone would like that.
And there is a happy rumble before old Tort nods, rocking on his heels with the decisiveness of it. Then taking another step back to look at Haddy fully. In giant, just a mumble of, "They grow up so fast." Let's get to it then! And he begins toddling to the kitchen, humming a tune that likely contains more swears than actual lyrics. Little Mal staying by Haddy's side to make sure he's okay. I mean, she did get his summons. At least everything seems alright. No yelled arguments. A major relief.
Haddy waits for old Tort to be out of range. Auntie, can I tell you something?
And she's immediately giving him her full attention. A very gentle hand on his arm. Of course, dear heart. Anything.
He draws in a deep breath and holds it, trying to figure out what to say and how to say it. Just don't tell old Tort, okay?
Okay. I won't. And while her voice is gentle, it very clearly has that undercurrent of concern. as though she wants to ask more, but is biting her tongue to see what he has to say. She's trying to do better about her fussing, after all.
His expression is very telling. What he's about to say is like pulling teeth. Auntie, he swallows and then, I'm gonna move in with Pom Pom. And he flinches as he says it.
And there is a blink and a long pause before she repeats it back to him. Just, you're moving in with Pom Pom? Now I see why you didn't want him to know. Is this because you want to, or because something else has happened?
He fidgets his hands together. It isn't a nervous tell he displayed often. His cane in one hand usually prevented it. But his cane was still on the floor where he dropped it. Nothing else happened as such. Nothing bad. Pom Pom's gonna do something that she really should be the one to tell you both, and I just don't want to be left behind again.
And he is pulled into a very soft hug. Warm fur and a familiar purr. Oh then, my little Haddy growing up again? I'll listen out for Pom Pom and see when she's ready to tell. But I can and will support this. If it will make you happy, and you are sure about it, and I give my blessing. But you must promise, if things get bad, or you change your mind or such, you'll come home back to here, all right?
He leans straight into that hug and that purr. You're not upset?
I'm not going to lie. It's a big change. I'm worried. You out in that wide world without all of us here, but no. I could never be upset with you. As long as this is your choice, and it will make you happy, then it has my support. Besides, you'll still be in Toontown, just an hour away instead of a few minutes through the halls. We'll work with it.
Haddy manages to not flinch at that statement, making a very firm mental resolution to ask Pom Pom if he could get Little Mal and Old Tort one of the magic keys once they're done. Gosh, that was a dirty 20 on deception. Thank goodness, Haddy.
And a nat 1 from Little Mal.
I promise I'll come back if it's not working for me. I promise.
All right. That's a Wingley's promise, so I'm satisfied. As long as you don't go pulling a pom-pom on us, then all will be well. And he gets a forehead kiss. And she slips into giant as she just goes, you all take care of each other, okay? Don't be afraid to speak up if and when you need to. I hope this move is everything you want and more. And her tail gently picks his cane up off the floor, always doing her best to look out for him. She'll get his cane a nice loop so he can keep it on his wrist when he wants to use both hands. That'll work.
Stage hands look out for their own, right? He says, managing a little smile. Everyone's been looking out for me for 20 years. That time I started returning the favour.
You've always returned the favour, dear heart. Just by being you. Our little bright buzzing spark. Time we started sharing you a little bit with the rest of the world.
He smiles. I'll let Pom Pom know she needs to talk to you both in short order. He turns his head in the direction that old Tort vanished down. I don't want to worry the old fella or make him feel like we're abandoning him.
And her gaze also turns to the door, contemplative, just. It's going to be a little rough, I'm not going to lie. But he let little Logan move all the way out to Millstown to set up that hub that long time ago. He didn't take too well to that either at first. And will want to watch out for any little tricks or such, but he loves you dearly. He'll come around to it, eventually. Once he sees you safe and sound, no one is abandoning anyone. Just moving into a new step of life. We'll see that, given a little time.
He nods at that. Not like the hundreds of us all live at one of the two hubs, so it's not as uncommon as all that.
I heard before even I was a stagehand. There was everyone all under this one roof. But it is true that we've all scattered just a little between the hubs and beyond nowadays. Few branches living in the studios they work at. Few directly at the place to help the next generation. And then Pom Pom and her new little picnic. Her corn child is the strangest of us, not having directly lived at a hub. Then again, the way she runs it, her home might as well be a very tiny hub.
She does go at the stagehand's requiem after all, he mentions. And with me, that makes it 3 of us living there. That's enough for a hub, right?
And there is another happy trill of purrs. I suppose it is. My word, how it all grows. And it's certainly a way of phrasing it. You could sell it all down the line. Either way, it's a wonderful thing. There's no place like a hub. You'll do great together.
He brightens at that. Thanks, Auntie. I really appreciate it.
And he gets another headbutt. Just anything for you, dear heart. Now, come along. Old Tort's likely waiting.
I always love Haddy rolled a nat 1 right about now.
Yeah, and Auntie Mal got a 6.
Stagehand 6.
Yeah, stagehand 6. Because around the corner, having arrived for the very last line, old Tort is frozen around the corner, grinned, and taken a deep breath. And as these two turn the corner out of the room, there is a very happy foghorn noise! Not loud enough to hurt even sensitive hearing, but enough to get a good jump. Because little Mal got him once, now he gets to get both of them!
Haddy jumps, dropping his cane. Jesus picking fuck!
And little Mal also jumps with a small yowl, and there is Grawlix flying everywhere, just motherfucking sassafras and pick! And old Tort is just busting a lung laughing. That was good!
Haddy's wings are sticking out straight from his back, and he's tense. Oh, fucking picnic!
Young little picnic. And he is carefully toddling over, making sure that all his actions are now telegraphed. It'll be very easy to figure out where he is. I couldn't resist after earlier. Could not fucking resist.
Haddy pulls in a deep breath and then lets it out in a long sigh. You're incorrigible, old Tort.
Yeah, you got that right. An incorrigible old codger. And there's a gentle pat on the head for Haddy. And as he goes to do the same to little Mal, There is the distinctive sound of him being bapped in the face by a tail. Still regret nothing, Farrell. Oh, hush.
Haddy sighs again, but then smiles, an unseen servant moving his cane to his hand. He was going to miss this, that couldn't be denied, but he'd hidden in the hub for long enough. Like Pom Pom said to him, gotta get some wind in his wings, and there would always be a hub to come home to. His smile grows a little at his own thoughts. His uncle would be upset, but he'd come good. It's the start of something new.
Bless.
Part 1.
Part 1. You get your sippies in.
Get your sippies in, goodness.
I love playing old Tort. I hope you know, when he did the foghorn noise, you know that smiley face, which is the capital D?
Yep.
He basically was doing that the entire time when he realized, oh, I can do something here.
Oh, well, he's a sneaky peckneck, that's for sure.
It's his default expression is a happy face like that. It's my brain is full of walnuts.
So that's part 1 of our little adventure about courtesy today. So we can fast forward to part 2, which I believe happens after Set on Fire.
Yeah. Because Lynn's brilliant plan had been, okay, wait for a long, calm period, make sure I'm happy and healthy and safe. What else in the family is going through any dangers? So if we're all just happy and calm and healthy, and I can just say this to old Tort, we get his blessing! And then set it on fire.
Yes.
I want you to imagine that there was the mental image of Lynn just going, nothing can go wrong! And also all of that happened just, okay, scrap the plan. But yeah, it's a lot happens in Toontown, and stagehand life is flying by. And with everything that occurred with Staniel, and Haddy's hand, and before that, Lynn and Rye. And basically, everything happens all of the time. But for now, it's peaceful and joyous. But with a specific date of Faber coming around looming in the semi-near future, well, some people do need to be informed about the move before it happens and further chaos occurs, because that wouldn't be good.
No.
That would not be good.
Yeesh.
So, we zoom in on part 2 with the end of a phone call, just... So, yeah, if you could drop by this evening, I'll make lasagna. We haven't had that in a while, and you and little Mal can take a load off. No, it's just not a chat, but yeah, there's something I want to tell you both. Just trust me, better in person. It'll all be good. All right. See you soon, Uncle. Take care, picnic! And with that, the phone is on the receiver, and yeah, the motion's set in play.
Haddy was loitering nearby. Gods, there's no getting around this, is there?
And Lynn goes from being the reassuring, bright presence over the phone to, well, not quite nervous. Before rallying again, just, nope. I just gotta roll with it, I guess. We say what we need to do. We stand firm. We figure things out. All be well in the end, and given time, trust, Okay, I'll admit, vaguely concerned about Rye for all of this, Haddy. If old Tort doesn't take this well, you know he can holler up a storm. I know we have no more secrets, but should we take the big news drop in my side office or something?
That'll just make the pair of them more uneasy, Haddy points out. And you know just as well as I do if old Tort wants to yell, the office door won't contain it.
And the low hum from Network seemingly agrees. Yeah, you're picking right. Hopefully it shouldn't blow up too big. I don't want Rye to see the bad side of station tempers, and they'll pick this. This may not go too well. I don't know. With stuff going on, I've lost the no one's been hurt recently and all's calm, so the move will be fine ace up my sleeve. I've heard stories about several year-long mind battles Hopper had to pull to go found his hub in Billstown. It's just... No matter what, we need to do this. Emotional space and stuff, it's a good move. All's gonna be well.
Yeah. Hopefully he'll be alright. Gods, then I've got to tell him too. He fiddles with the handle of his cane for a moment. I'll make fairy bread to have with dinner. You like that?
He does really like your fairy bread. Extra sprinkles for the crunch. And we have enough time for me to make some blancmange for Auntie. She's fond of that treat. And she pauses before coming over to him and giving a very gentle hug. Fuzzy head nuzzles and all. Just, we'll be golden, Haddy. It'll work out. Said with as much confidence as she can bloomin' well muster.
He hugs her back. Yeah, I have the record we made to give him too. Should be fine.
Good plan. I love it. If at any point you need to step out, though, let me know, okay? You mean a lot to me, and I want to make sure you come out of this all fine. It's gonna be just fine. For all of us.
I'm not gonna chicken out of this. We'll be alright.
Okay. Then we should let Ryan know what's going down. And get on with cooking and baking, lasagna and treats. They don't make themselves.
Yeah. A deep breath. Yeah. Time's a wasted.
He gets a final forehead bump before Lynn pulls away. And there is a level of bravado in her voice, just, sweetheart, fire up the oven! Mother picking lasagna time! And there is a soft, warm blast of an excited breeze and a bright hum filling the air.
Rye's contribution to the dinner was his now signature cordial, and also producing some leftover Grawlix and Star sprinkles that they had purchased for Lynn's surprise cake for Haddy to use on his fairy bread. Haddy was delighted. That should help keep old Tort's spirits up.
Mm-hmm. And from her place making lasagna and then the blancmange, Lynn smiles at ease as she works. Gentle breeze around her shoulders and watching the duo out of the corner of eye as she goes. It'll certainly keep their spirits up. Rye being so relaxed and happy should also help. Happy kid, happy home. Confidence leaking back in as the food is finished, draping herself over the boys when her work is done. This'll be picking great.
Just need the guest of honor now.
Can't wait.
Rye giggles.
I can show Grunkle Tort my new badge.
Oh, he's gonna love that, kiddo. And she reaches over to ruffle the top of his head with a fuzzy hand. Keep getting them, and some stage he just might make you a sash to store them on. And in this time, even through all the happy times in the kitchen and the humming, there is an unmistakable sound from outside. Calm but loud in a very stagehand way. Rolex. Sweetheart of mine, door click open? Yes, yes, yes. And a sound of what might be the doors downstairs unlocking just in time for the loud bang of it being kicked open without damaging the door. No door frame damage or any aspects in the way. And from outside, just surprise, motherfuckers! Dear hearts, we're here!
They're here!
And Rye takes off down the stairs to tackle their guests. Haddy laughs and offers his cousin his arm. Once more into the breach, Pum Pum?
And Lynn gives her signature cackle, just looping her arm with his and her tail bapping him in the knee. Just once more, once pecking more, dear cousin. And downstairs there's old Tort. He doesn't resist. He gets in a pose as if he's trying to catch a flying baseball. Happy sound of foghorn delight.
And it's because little Rye is pouncing at old Tort, tiny Grawlix trailing behind him.
Hello! Good to see you!
And the boy is scooped and squished in a delighted hug as he tackles the old tortoise, who is absolutely beaming with delight at seeing his grandnephew. Just, good to fucking see us, well, kiddo, look at you! Oh, big and strong! Clearly eating your veggies.
I like veggies. We grow a lot of them here, just like at the hub.
Rye squeals, giggling.
Then the corn child shall weigh as much as a corn cob in no time. And he is being held aloft by the grinning terrapin. Little Mal laughing at his side before she reaches up on her tiptoes to nuzzle Rye. A fine garden, we are sure. Oh, you are looking smart. Always a delight to see you, little sneakster.
He nuzzles her back and grins.
You too! Oh, Grunkle Tort, guess what?
Yes! Oh, a fucking surprise! Oh, too many options. You gotta spill! And he's looking up at Rye in his arms with the happy expression, with the happiest expression a Grunkle could offer. And unheard from everyone, there is a little hum in the edges. New word, Feck? Sweetheart, kiddo, nope.
Rye giggles.
I got a new badge!
And he points at the green turtle badge pinned to his coat beside his PEC badge. Peck badge.
And there is bright green, viridescent pops of Grawlix around the senior stagehand's head. Oh, he's smitten. He's smitten. A pecking turtle. Oh, mother pecking fantastic, kiddo. Now look at this. See, Tord, I can see. My word, it does look good on you, Sneakster. A pecking wonderful collection.
Rye beams at them both.
It makes my magic a little stronger.
Oh, now. You've got to see that. Stage and brawl one of these days. Thanks for the other aunts and uncles. Haddy and Pom Pom's cousins. A nice family chaos rumble. Always excellent to show off that magic of yours. Indeed, dear heart. Oh, you are getting so strong.
He giggles at the praise.
Sounds fun.
We can hear your shenanigans from here, Haddy calls over the landing.
And Haddy can also hear the happy humming of Network and the somewhat happy, exasperated voice of his cousin humming under her breath. We are gonna need to get Sweetheart a sweater. We'll be right up then. No stagehand left behind. Shenanigans a second high.
Haddy smirks at Lynn's remark. Hear that, network? Say words beyond your ears and you'll have to put a shiny in the jar.
Ahoy!
Right, parrots.
And in the hum, while Haddy can't understand, it's just Chinese? Chinese in jar? Words beyond years. Aged words. Fine words. Fuck! We are going to need to teach her swear jar means she doesn't get a free jar as well as the Chinese. God's the other look. I taught her some real interesting words. And Rye, meanwhile, is getting happily smothered in affection as old Tort makes his way up the stairs. Little Mal keeping a supportive hand on his back of his shells as he goes up.
Haddy breaks out laughing. Bless. And he gives a wave as the two elderly stagehands arrive at the top of the stairs. Evening.
And there is an unseen eye roll from Lynn, but she is smiling brightly at her family and all the wonderful chaos they're in. And the duo of elders finally gets to the top of the stairs. Little Rye being deposited down very gently before getting a very good pat on the head from the tortoise. Before he makes an immediate beeline for his niece and nephew to hug the Grawlix out of them. Little Mal hanging back to give Rye a good little squeeze. And then going forward once she's sure she can join the outside of the hug and not get, caught in that squeeze.
Haddy can hear the tortoise feet stromping over to them and he braces for impact. Ain't coming. And Rye giggles at the squeeze from Little Mal.
You both seem well.
And there is gonna be the best hug. And one that, solves any spine problems the duo had as old Tort gives the duo a scoop and squeeze.
Haddy's back for sure cracks and he lets out a wheezy squeak. You're gonna crush us into tea, you old fart.
And Lynn, meanwhile, gives that squeak of her own before going limp in the hold. A very breathless giggle. Tail flailing and bapping the hugger a few times, just... And there is a very happy hum from old Tort, beyond amused at the reactions. Final faint extra squeeze before he sets them both down with a soft chuff. Lynn still partially flopped over him. And Brian and Haddy just looking at them, just everyone looking in general, just... There does seem to be a way about old Tort and Little Mal underneath the calm. The way Little Mal's games seems to scan Rye, checking his eye colour and design for anything amiss, before giving him a purring forehead kiss. And on to the other two, and to looking at the walls around her, still smiling, also assessing, curious. The way that even after he's put Haddy and Pom Pom down, old Tort's touch does linger. Curious and concerned underneath that joviality. He can see joy and is bringing it with him. Same time, he knows Pom Pom doesn't make announcement lightly. And something is clearly up. He's checking for injuries or sleeplessness, causes of concern and alarm bells. Any indication, and when not seeing anything straight away, there's the feeling he's trying to suss out the shoe that will drop. He's seen far too much of his family hurt, including in the recent times with hearing about Lulu from Little Mal, plus all that's happened with Little Peter and Little Whiskey. He's relaxed due to how relaxed the trio are, but the undercurrent won't abate. He seemed okay with waiting until they are ready to tell him after the food, though.
Haddy buzzes slightly and leans into Lynn a little before giving old Tort a solid pat on the shell. How was the walk over? And Rye snuggles into Little Mal. He doesn't want her to worry.
Oh, pretty casual for once. Nice weather out. Like to stretch the legs for once on a good amble. And Tort's voice does dip slightly as he leans forward and just goes, I managed to snag a warm from the oven apple turnover for your buzzbrain. And a nice little bundle and a little bit thicker of your biscuits for your picnic. Little Mal, meanwhile, is snuggling the boy right back before bundling him and herself ready to go to the kitchen to sit down. And she is purring at him. He's doing okay. Mine might be ticking away at the problems, but he does seem alright for now at least.
Haddy grins and offers a delighted buzz. Really?
We've made a feast. I hope you're hungry,
Rye tells her.
A happy chuff and eat. Stagehand's laugh. I'm all in a chaotic bastard. I get to pinch some good treats to spoil my little picnics with every now and then. Let's have your feast first, Then with whatever you have for your pud, you can have these as well. Your kids deserve the good treats. Absolutely ravenous, dear heart. We're going to love it.
Haddy chuckles. We all pitched in, you'll be happy to know. Rye grins and pulls Lil Mal to the table.
Let's eat.
There is very happy spiky Grawlix from Little Mal and a pleased trilling yowl. And just, we're coming, ya furball! And there is another soft chuckle before old Tort is toddling to the kitchen and shepherding his duo. Stagehand tag team food, eh? For definite, it'll be the mother-feckin' best. Come on, let's feckin' feast!
Rye helped get all the plates out and poured the drinks, the perfect little gentleman. Haddy put out the fairy bread himself, with the Grawlix sprinkle slices on top of the pile.
And Lynn serves the lasagna and the dinner. Dinner, honestly, goes delightfully. The elder stagehand settling well. A few glances here and there between them. They seem to have a silent conversation, but it's mostly light-hearted and joyful. The food gets a lot of complimentary Grawlix. It is amazing.
As the meal part of the evening started to wrap up, Haddy was starting to get nervous. He wasn't holding his cane to keep his hands occupied, and he started fidgeting them together in his lap.
And on pure reflex, Lynn's tail rests in his lap to be played with. As she carries on making conversation, it's useful to hold if needed.
He blinks a little, but then he does smile and relax a bit, petting her tail softly. Rye was chatting merrily, not distressed in the slightest.
After more time, enough for it to be fully settled dinner and a relaxed environment, Lynn does pull the dishes to herself, getting everything neat and sorted safely. Thus, Little Mal is demonstrating an old sleight of hand trick to Rye on how to pull something out of your ham space, or tuck it away without being seen. And Lynn ends up pointing at Rye under the table. Sorry, pointing at Haddy under the table, very gently whispering a message just. You want to start, or should I? I mean, both parts are a bit of a shock, and are I gonna be here, or should I quickly shoot him off to do something for network? I know you and I talked about it earlier, I think it's time.
Haddy sighs a little. I'm not too worried about snakes there, but God, I'll start. His mental response sounded about as nervous as he felt. He draws in a deep breath and puts his hands on the table. Uncle? Auntie? We wanted to talk to you about something.
And there is the immediate attention of all Tort. Lil Mal's gaze snapping up a moment after, a shared glance before they nod. Little Mal passing Rye a compact flashlight and a cat keychain she'd been using for her demonstration before both as one put their hands on the table. Business. Old Tort's voice ringing clear, low and worn, but also that edge of caution and readiness. Okay.
It was taking all of Hadrian's self-control to not chicken out. He took a deep breath and then, I'm moving in with Pom Pom.
And there is a dual reaction of little Mao immediately giving a sigh of relief. Relief that she knows what this talk is about. And it's only this serious. Just managing to hide this reaction from old Tort as he gives a big little shove. Yeah, what?
I'm gonna move out and live with Pom Pom and Sneakster. His voice wobbled a little.
But why? It's this. What? I think that this is a big step. A good moment for little Haddy. A good chance for him to bond with his cousin and nephew. And little Mao is keeping her voice soothing, cutting through old Tort's bluster and doing her best to be calming for Haddy as well. Lynn's tail has snuck around his wrist, and she's leaning towards him slightly, just silent support.
It's not for any bad reasons. I've spent my life doing peck all in the hub. Safe as anything, but I wanna give it a try. Doing something a bit more than just existing.
All sort seems to draw breath to argue, for stopping and considering Haddy. And internally remembering talks with Ogun over the home table. Remembering Pom Pom when she was ready to strike out on her own, and seeing Haddy for Haddy. How are you feeling, my boy? Just existing? If you wanted, we could do family events at the park, or more outings together to the market. His voice is soft and gentle, and there is a gentle tide weathered with age instead of a storm. Considering and solemn. Still ready to argue, but seeing so many parallels. And his kid in distress. He's ready to listen and bargain. It's still in Toontown, after all.
I mean, I wouldn't mind that anyway, but it's not fault of yours. It's really not.
No blame flying. All guilt was brain, I swear. It's just fucking hell, but little Hadrian, are you... No, you're sure. I can see it in your face, just... Would there be any way to convince you to stay, or... This is a development thing, eh? Did what happened to little Staniel spur this on? If needed, we could... And in Giant, there's just... If the next words out of your mouth are, convince Pom Pom and Sneakster to come live back with us, you know you are going to lose Tort. It was worth a shot, but heck, fine, Malisha. You win that much. Fully calm. Processing differently. Moving things forward. Right. You'll still visit? We can make time for outings, adventures. Small reunions and meals every fortnight, perhaps. Drop-ins as you please.
Oh, of course I'm gonna visit. I'm not falling off the face of the earth.
Quite right, Winglace. No falling away. And Tort? Dear heart, it's still Toontown. Our way tops. Worst comes to worst, we sneak in and startle this trio into a visit for the good Chilean treats. See? All well. And little Mal reaching to wind her hand and tail around old Tort. And he's nodding along in agreement. Power away. Hey. Better than the organs, John, to Valestown. Yeah. Okay. I can accept this, Haddy. Might not like it fully, but I can see your heart is set. And I support and love you, no matter what. You have my blessing to move in here to this secondary Toontown Pom-Pom's place. Pick. I won't try and stop you. Just as long as you come and visit often.
Haddy is trying really hard to keep it together at all the remarks about being in Toontown, but his wings go almost still against his back. He swallows and reaches into his coat to pull a record out of hammer space and place it on the table. Pom-Pom?
And old Tort and little Mel immediately still at that. Eyes on the record. And then eyes on Haddy and his wings, and then at Pom-Pom. And no insight or roll is needed. Both look suddenly filled with minor levels of dread. Little Mel's fur bristling in vague alarm as she is blindsided by more announcements. Just Adrian, what's that? And Lynn gives Haddy's hand a squeeze before raising it slightly and tugging his hand along as if nudging his hand towards where his ear should be, making eye contact with Rye as she does so in hope he gets what she's trying to signal. Things are gonna get loud. I got it, Haddy. And she's waiting to see if he and Rye react as she's indicated.
Haddy doesn't. He points at her and shoots her a message. I'm not hiding from this, Pom-Pom. Rye ducks down a little, not covering his ears, but looking like he can do so at a moment's notice. He gives her a nod.
Alright. Brace for your ringing. Go what? Pom? Picnic. Lynn. Go what? What is that a record? What is this? What a uncle? Auntie? And she takes a deep breath before speaking calmly, like a briefing. Cool and smooth. Just we're moving out of Toontown. A very long pause. And all hell of Grawlix and noise breaks loose like a dam bursting.
And, Rye and Haddy both didn't take it particularly well. Rye ducks under the table and starts to cry. Haddy wincing out like he was struck, stumbling out of his chair clumsily.
And Lynn's used to this from back when she was sick. Just Lynn! Lynn! Little Lynn! Pom-Pom Wrangler's picnic stage town! What do you mean moving? Followed by a long string of Grawlix again, and other languages, blurring and loud and hard to distinguish from each other. It's an emotional storm of too many types to latch onto one. Just deep breath. Left hand gripping the numb hand tight enough she can almost feel it. A moment to weather it. Lynn is way too used to yelling like this. Then to work. Hands up on the table. Look she rarely has around family set on her face. Pointing forward. One message and the other. Enough to take a moment's pause at whatever she says. A moment she's used to capitalizing on. Sweetheart, where I? And the sense of warmth suddenly shifts. A soft breeze circling under the table. Very careful not to disturb the elder stagehands. Haddy, can you hear me? And she's turning in her chair partially so her tail can reach back and latch onto him a little. Now turning away from the two elders who are fully standing up from their original explosion. Chairs knocked back, already starting to regain momentum. Just, Lynn, a moment.
Rye's eye is grey, and he's curled in a ball. He was expecting loud, but not this. Haddy's useless pupils were very small. He'd heard this sort of thing in the distance, but not up close before. Not pointed at him, even partially. The fuck was all he managed, grasping at Lynn's tail and holding onto it for dear life.
And Rye is immediately wrapped in a ball of warmth. Hair wrapping and draping over his shoulders like a hug. The wind whistling lasts softly, with enough whistle to drown out everything else just a little bit more. Lynn's tail curling around Haddy's hand. Line a little scratchy, but still distinctly her. And meanwhile, old Tort is laser focused on her, just winding back up. Lynn? Now. Moving? Where? Pauses before breathing and sauntering through. Hand at her brooch to feel its comforting weight. Just, I'm not telling you until you both calmed. It's Halloween Town. And of course she forgot to factor Mal's insight with action. Pick.
I don't like it. I don't like it. That'll make them stop yelling.
Rye sobs. Haddy stepped close to Lynn, mumbling off every curse he knew in order. His wings were flicking up and down abruptly. It's no big deal, he attempted.
Oh, big! Moving that far out there with who knows what? All of this, Lynn. Lynn, your hand, your home. Nix is getting nabbed. Daniel's whole stuff. So many enemies. Ain't fucking safe by any capacity unless we are together. You're coming back to the hub. If Halloween Town is anyway forcing you all to move there, they have another thing coming. Lynn, Adrian. No, I know you want independence, but going that far, Lynn, if they've blackmailed you or forced you on, is this a planned kidnapping? I'll fight them! Thank you, Tort. If this is any other measure of them coercing you and your son and Haddy away, we will handle this at the hub. We won't let them take you. This needs security. We are all going home.
Haddy draws in a deep breath and clings to Lynn for a second, but then straightens his back and steps around her a bit. Do you two peek in here yourselves?
And noise. Cat yowl Grawlix, the clicking and roaring low-level war horn. Swearing and the yelling all stops. Is Haddy raising his voice like that? It has their attention. Silence descends like a blanket. Haddy, the conductor, ready to redirect the flows. Lynn, meanwhile, has her expression closed off. The height of professionalism. Tail finding a place it can cling to the tail of Haddy's waistcoat and not be direct skin contact, but still comforting for him. Her left hand knuckle white on her brooch, hiding it from view. Expression guarded, but seemingly in control. Network meanwhile is very faintly humming under the table. Still soft warmth. Yelling stopped. All safe. Stay here, little Rye brother of mine. All safe. Leave us helping fixing. Eat and see. Eat and be well. Before dipping into a very low, barely audible, comforting humming. Just soft enough only he can hear.
Haddy's unseeing eyes were locked on the two, letting the silence drag for a few moments. Take half a second. Think about the absolutely bullshit insane things coming out of your mouth. And then perhaps instead of going off the bloody deep end, think about what you're doing. He motions to Lynn, who he can feel standing tensely behind him. Then he motions to the table, where Rye's soft sobbing could be heard in the abrupt cease of proceedings.
And old Tort is still staring straight ahead at Haddy, stubborn and bullheaded in a sense, concern warring with everything else. Little Mal, on the other hand, does take that second, and despite being deaf, once she clocks through her hearing aids the motion, gets the sound of little Rye and immediately dives underneath the table to go provide some comfort. Oh, bless the poor child. And old Tort got a nat one on seeing reason at this moment. Because he's bullheaded. I am trying to keep our family safe, little Hadrian. And before his attention seems to shift a little around him, just Lynn. Little Lynn, you're meant to be setting an example. If Halloween Town is bothering you, you got to come to us. For your kid's sake, for Haddy's sake. You're the protector. That means knowing when to come back in. None of that secrecy like before. Now, come on. Let's get you all three of you back to the hub. Talk this through. And figure out how to stop this whole feckin' farce, eh?
Unseen Servant has Haddy's cane in his hand, and he points it square at old Tort. "What is the farce, Tort?" he declares, dropping the honorific. "Us moving, or you acting like you know best? You're here on courtesy. We're here telling you all this because we care about you." His wings sizzle dangerously. "But right now, you're threatening to take my cousin and nephew from their home, and my parent, oh no, I'm not going to let you."
And there is an intake of breath of almost shock from old Tort. He didn't see this coming at all. A slow blink before he takes a measured breath. Hands flat against the table and the fingers clicking against it. Just Adrian, nephew, this is big. A very big and sudden move. A sudden change. You all might think you're ready for it, but whatever machinations are in the background, I'm trying to keep you safe. This ain't threatened at... And at last he does seem to be on the back foot. The sheer knowledge that Haddy is this ready to go to bat. What's Halloween Town? Those spooks. What are they pulling? What they got on her and a boy to mean you all want to move? Why?
"It ain't sudden," Haddy responds, slowly. "Do you realise how much courage it takes to tell the ones you love news like this? How hard it is to go through with what you think is best when you know not everyone will see it your way? We procrastinated this to no end, Tort. Trying to make this as easy as we could for you. It's not a whim from yesterday." Rye was still sniffling under the table, but at least the yelling had stopped.
And the breeze around Rye continues to whistle and hum very softly. Ground under him vibrating slightly as Network tries to make herself as known as possible for him. And there's a faint rumble as she clocks the elderly stagehand, who has also ducked under the table now, before she merely wraps tighter around Rye. Protective. Discreet. Little Mal, meanwhile, feels her heart break slightly. Kneeling under the table, hat brushing the underedge, looking at him anew. Stars, they flew off the handle. And he's too young for this sort of yelling, just... All's okay, dear heart. All's going to be okay. And she starts purring, very low. If he wants a hug, she's open, but if he wants space after all the yelling, she's willing to be just another presence helping weather the storm. Up above the table, it's slow. It's clear, evidently, old Tort is losing this fight. Stubborn but wavering just the tiniest bit. A while? But I don't understand. Why? And he taps a beat on the table. A click of irritation and confusion from his beat. You have everything you could want here. This town, this place is your home. Has always, will always be your home. I don't get what some spook town and whatever it's offering, and oh so very quiet. Lynn just pipes up a single word, just peace.
Haddy doesn't turn to face Lynn, but he buzzes in what has become her frequency to let her know she was heard, before refocusing his attention back on old Tort. Even if there were nothing there except a change of scenery, old Tort, we're not asking your permission. We're telling you what we've decided. We're adults. We're capable of making our own choices, and preventing us that freedom will only make things hostile in the future. He draws a deep breath and lets it go in a sigh. Do you remember what I said to you a few weeks ago? Rye looks up at Lil Mao as she creeps close, feeling network blow between them. He scoots closer but doesn't take up the hug. He's frightened.
You said a lot back then. Old Tort finally seems to lower from the stance he'd been holding himself in. Old joints creaking as he sags, finally taking in what's going on and starting to process just how far this has gone. You said if I kept you all in the hub, you'd be miserable.
We know you worry, Haddy continues, but you gotta have a little faith in us. Rye rubs the tears off his cheeks a little bit.
Auntie, is it really so bad to want to move there?
He signs to her.
And above with that, old Tort finally gives a long, tired sigh. Nod of his head before he goes, I have so much faith in you, my bright little stars. I just don't want any of you burning out again. Not after we just got all you back. It's like I'm losing you to these new folks. Little Mal stops, ponders. And she looks Rye dead in the eye and goes... She signs. If going out there will bring you joy, it's not bad at all. Scary? Yes. Makes us Nervous? Yes. But we want you safe and happy and healthy. You and your health. Joy, safety. Do you want to go to Halloween Town, Rye?
Back above the table, Haddy gives a small shake of his head. You're not losing us. It's not as far away as Vilstown is. There's more than one quick way between here and there, so we can visit you and you can visit us. We're still stagehands. No man nor God will change that. But you gotta let us go. Rye nods and signs back to her.
I do want to go. It's a really nice place if you give it a chance.
And little Mal takes in little Rye, this little child who's been through so much. Sees that want to be there, and something in her heart does settle. And she nods slowly and carefully. But it's clear that there is acceptance there. Lifting her hands up, pausing before signing with utter surety. Okay. Sneakster approved. Stagehand approved. I approve. Just take care. There is silence. A long stretch of it above the table. Lynn behind her, Haddy, seems hardly to be moving as she watches old Tort. The tension seems to waver and finally hold. A winner clear. Old Tort nods again and affirmative click. His voice cracking with not just age, a little watery, but staying resolute. We stagehands are stubborn, all right. No gods, toon, real, or other kind will ever take us from each other. Okay. Okay. I can let you go.
Haddy sighs and puts his cane on the tabletop before putting out both his arms. Come here, you stubborn fool.
A huff of what could be laughter before he is toddling round at a good pace. Very much walking straight into that hug and burying his head in it. Very mindful of his beaches. You've grown into a fine young man, Haddy. A fine young toon indeed. I'm proud of you.
Got you to thank for that, he retorts, hugging him warmly. Or blame as you like. Even in the hug, he moves his hand to point at Lynn again. You're right, Pom Pom?
No secrets. Will be in a minute. I think that was... Sketching through wasn't great, but not terrible either. Didn't hit all nerves. 3 at most. I'm gonna be okay. I'm okay. Right? And she's a whisper, but it gets stronger as she talks. Some of her confidence does seem to be leaking back in at the end, till she sounds almost like herself. And a deep breath from her, before she points herself. Hey, kiddo. It's all over. All good. You want to come up or stand there a little longer, eh?
Haddy sighs and gives old Tort a squeeze before letting go and stepping back. Rye had just leant into Lil Mal when he got the message from his mum and perked up a little.
I'm good. I could... Could we show them the thing I made? For the new place?
And the little Mao is back to purring full force when he leant into her. Happy things have settled. Another message warm and clear in his mind, tinged with that familiar aftertaste of pumpkin spice, and a warm voice brimming with love just, of course you can show them. We'll do it together. Freaking fantastic idea. And above just old Tort steps back. The zinc sound of him adjusting his poncho and waistcoat, coughing slightly to get rid of any cracks in his voice. Just, alright. Pom Pom. You okay, little pygmy? Yep. Alright. You want proximity, contact, or space? Hug, please. I'd like a hug, just. And she makes a gesture that Haddy can't see, but old Tort seems to get. Just. Hey, I won't touch your brooch, kiddo. No one's gonna. Oh, Vic, come here. I'm so sorry. And he's bundling her into a good soft hug as well. And the last of the tensions slowly melting away. A slight rise in temperature. It wasn't quite cold in the room with all the yelling. Normalcy coming back.
Haddy sighs in relief. Thank the gods. Rye gives Lil Mal a small squeeze, then a tug towards out from under the table.
Come on, Auntie.
His voice is still shaky from crying, but he's getting there.
And the breeze around his shoulders gives another encouraging squeeze, nudging him out as a helper. Giving little Mal a start as well before she mutters something about cantrips. Happily following him, eager to go wherever he wants.
Once out from under the table, Rye leads Lil Mal over to where his mum, uncle, and grunkle were. He reaches a hand out and takes her tail in hand.
And immediately the tail is curled around his hand, a comforting reflex.
Grunkle Tort?
He says meekly.
Voice is as gentle as he can make it. He has Tort's full attention, just, hey, yeah, little sneakster.
Haddy puts a hand on his back for a moment.
We have something to show you?
Oh. And he is very gentle, realizing just how much his yelling had an impact, softening everything that bit further. Making sure he's as open as possible, and all the warmth and love he'd hidden behind the fire now slowly coming back into his face. Worn features pulled into an encouraging smile. I'd love to see it.
It's on the roof.
He nods encouragingly, leaning and stepping back from where he'd been giving Pom Pom her hug before beaming at him. Let's go see it, And he does also reach for the record on the table, perfectly intact despite everything that just happened. Tapping it curiously to make a noise Haddy can hear. Should I bring this as well?
Haddy moves over and picks it up. Yeah, we should.
A very gentle pat of old weathered scales on Haddy's nubbin hand. He'll make it up to him. 2 or 3 of them. Old Tortoise almost did a fair bit of damage in the bond with his words, and he does recognize how bad it could have gone. It'll take time, but he's going to try and make sure this mistake will be healed from. Look on himself. Them all. They do deserve good things. So, making sure they get there. Even if that means letting them go far away from him. He just hopes it isn't something he'll come to regret. Alright then. Let's get up on the roof. And he makes a gesture, seeing whether Rye wants to lead or not.
Rye brightens a little. He gives Lynn's tail a squeeze before letting go to lead the way up to the roof.
And Lynn takes a moment, tensing her legs and stretching softly before she gets to her feet. A very fluid gesture for her given nowadays state, and all the stress she's just been under. Breeze wrapping around her, coaxing the familiar smile to her face. Little Rye first, or Tor next, little Mal at his heels to steady him on the ladder, and the little Lynn leaning over to little Haddy, nudging his arm with her elbow, ready to link arms if he wants, just... Oh, that went better than I thought it would.
Haddy accepted the arm. "Gods, my heart's still going a mile a minute," he responds.
At least no one jumped out a window. Thanks. I don't know how that would have gone without you, Haddy. You're the best.
Not letting you be a protector or whatever without someone standing to protect you too. We're a team. He grins a little. You won't let me fall off the ladder, right?
Team. I like that. Smiling, she just headbutts him. No falling for you, cuz. It's a nice trip up a ladder to the garden. It'd be nice up there. It'll be good.
He headbutts her back and leans his cane against the wall before climbing up, slowly and carefully. It was a clear night. The cool air was pleasant, and all the stars were on display.
Old Tort and little Mal are suddenly looking up at the stars. It's always pleasant being able to do so. Taking that moment to breathe. Stagehands and the stars are well interlinked. Sometimes there is even a faint joke there are as many stars in the sky as people in the family.
Rye waits for Haddy and Lynn to be on the roof too, giving old Tort and Lil Mao a few moments to admire the view. Then he comes up and takes old Tort's hand in his.
And this is the old Tort he recognizes. A content noise and a soft hand squeeze. Happy to be tugged as needed by his great nephew.
Rye is so relieved to see this old Tort back. He didn't like the angry, shouty, scary one.
Over here.
He says gently, tugging the elder stagehand over to the small sheltered area where he kept his woodworking projects. In looking over the area, it was pretty clear that Rye spent a lot of time up here. In the garden and the workshop, there were tools and wood and sawdust, which got good use elsewhere and was swept into a barrel for later. Lil Mal could pick up a few different projects in different stages of completion, each covered neatly in a tarp of sorts, though she was sure she could see a wooden box and something that looked like it was going to be a skeleton on his shelves. The project that Rye was leading them to was the biggest of the lot, and required a second glance from old Tort, as it was big and flat and rectangular, easily mistaken for just a piece of wood waiting to be used.
Mom, could we have some light, please?
Rye asks gently.
Sure thing, kiddo. And there's a happy chatter from her as she moves her hands while still keeping her arm interlinked with Haddy. And and the roof is bathed in warm orange gold light. The last of any stress from her melting away with the coalescing of the magic and the warmth and the scent.
Haddy gives Lynn's arm a small squeeze, breathing in the smell of her magic, which he was getting rather used to. Rye smiles too, and then points to the large project.
It's that one. You can both go look,
he says to his grunkle and aunt.
And they are immediately looking. Very curious indeed. Both do spare a glance back at Pom Pom and Haddy, and Pom Pom actually looks at ease like this. On her roof with her magic. She's really grown up a lot. Then they are turning to Little Sneaks' project with curiosity and growing delight to see just what the little genius has been making.
Pulling back the tarp revealed something actually rather familiar. A large sign with big, bold letters, marked with a star that was hand-carved quite expertly. And it read, Stagehand Hub, Halloween Town.
Neighbours didn't need sleep anyway. Little Mal's little is quickly engulfed by a very happy foghorn noise of joyous shock and delight. He's smitten. He loves it. Loves it all now.
Haddy chuckles a little and Rye perks up.
When we go, will you help me install it? It's heavy.
Of course. We got some spare couplings and brackets and safety wards to keep it in place. It's gonna be... And they all say in time just, Pickin' fantastic!
Rye squeals and claps his hands.
Pickin' fantastic!
He answers. Haddy smiles at all this, and then reaches into his coat to fetch the record from where he had put it. Unlooping his arm from Pom Pom's, he held it in both hands. All Tort?
And a very soft chuckle as old Tort pats Sneakster on the head before turning back to Haddy. Yes, my boy?
He takes a few slow, careful steps forward. This is for you, he says, holding it out in offering.
Old Tort close distance with his own careful steps, very carefully taking it from him. Reminds me of those tracks you make. You know I keep a copy of every one of them you give me. One of the other tech-savvy folks to help with that. This one, the going away gift?
He nods. Yeah, Pom Pom and I made it, just to make sure the hub never feels empty. The cover was marked with braille, which simply said, Hub Sounds.
There is the sound of a long claw, delicately tracing along the bumps of braille, well heard in the still night air. The last of the tension in his body, internally realizing no more illness announcements, no more threats, no danger, just moving for healthy reasons. Safety is there. And the warm glow of the dancing lights playing across his features like candlelight. Gentle smiles and laughter lines, and Rye, Mal, and Lynn all are able to see just how deeply touched he is at the gesture. Meanwhile, Haddy gets another faint, pleased chuff of laughter, just staring at the beautiful sign, then back down at this new memento for him. Old Tort knows they'll be okay. It's a new chapter, not a closing book. Little Mal's purr rings out again at ease. Once you're all settled, we'll send some more plants. If you're moving, perhaps you'll have more gardening space. Lots of blankets. getting chillier and it might be cold out there. And some nice housewarming gifts. You three will shine out there. Just know it.
Haddy smiles. We love you, you big idiot. Rye giggles.
It doesn't get too cold out there. But when we're settled, you should come see. Halloween Town is great.
I love you too, you bunch of little picnics. Matching grin and laugh from old Tort. And then also giving one. About as fluffy as it can be and truly calm again. Enjoying the peace and potential. The potential the future now holds. I think you would like that at some stage. Nice to explore just a little bit. Visit the place that you're so fond of. We'll see indeed. And little Mal reaches out again to pull Rye a little closer in a side hug. Running her hand against the sign with newfound fondness, before looking up once again at the sky. A constant in Einquell. Something, no matter where they are, will continue to be the same. It's all's going to be just fine.
Rye returns the hug, a small cloud of happy Grolix popping into the air around him. Haddy's buzzing finally picked back up to normal, relaxing as well. It could have gone better, but it could have gone worse. But it went. And now they had the blessing to move. It was all happening. Future awaits. The end.
Hot boy!
Hot boy.
Goodness golly gosh. Ah, tense.
No one got sealed in a hub!
No, thank goodness.
We're calling it a win!
Yes, we're absolutely calling it a win. And Haddy got through to old Tort. And so I'm calling that a win too.
As long as nothing bad happens, everything's gonna be just fine!
We tug our collars and look awkwardly at the things that have happened since, but okay.
We're standing like that guy with the velociraptors around him, just going, whoa. Whoa.
Wonderful. Well, I hope you all enjoyed listening to this little piece of the stagehand story, and we'll see you again soon, we're sure.
Indeed! Bye-bye!
Bye!